Today, I'm going to go over some of the biggest names ever in middle school basketball, from Imani Bates to Kyrie Walker to Shamar Morrow. All of them were ranked number 1 in their class. So where are they now? Kyrie Walker was one of the most famous prospects middle school has ever seen. Most of his fame came from his MSHTV days. At this time, seeing an 8th grader dunk was insane. But Kyrie was throwing down ridiculous dunks. At the MSHTV camp, he matched up with Julian Newman, and that video got over 13 million views by our guy Bryce Lanning at Elite Mixtapes. His fame continued through high school. His freshman year, he averaged 21 points and 6.5 rebounds. Max Preps named him National Freshman of the Year. Entering his sophomore season, he transferred to Hillcrest Prep. Hillcrest was a good move for him to play a national schedule, and he dominated. He also played Dream Vision for AAU. He picked up tons of high major offers and committed to Arizona State. He later decommitted from ASU, left Hillcrest Prep, and kinda disappeared for a year. April of 2020, he announced that he would forego college to train for the 2021 NBA draft. But because people hadn't seen him play a real game in over 2 years, no NBA team took a chance. He did sign with the Washington Wizards for the NBA Summer League, but could not even play due to COVID protocols. He eventually signed with the Wizards and played for their G League team, Capital City Go-Go. Unfortunately, he was traded to the Rio Grande Valley Vipers and waived. He's played professionally for a couple teams since, as well as a few pro-ams, but it seems that he found a home with the Scarborough Shooting Stars of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Zion Harmon was the shiftiest point guard in the 2021 class. When he was coming up, everyone labeled him number 1. His ability to control the game was second to none. In 7th grade, he joined the varsity team at Lighthouse Christian. Then, he became the first 7th grader to compete in the Nike EYBL. In 8th grade, he led Bowling Green High School to its first state title. By the time he was an actual freshman, he averaged 33 points and 8 assists per game, and was recognized as the National Freshman of the Year by Max Preps. He had a 1-year stint with Bella Vista Prep, where he won Grind Session title and MVP. As you can see, he was absolutely dominating everywhere he went. He transferred to Marshall County High School in Kentucky, where he averaged 22 points his senior year. He committed to play basketball at Western Kentucky. So what happened to him? Long story short, he left Western Kentucky and took a year off. But now he is back and better than ever. He played 2 years with Bethune-Cookman, where he averaged 14 points and 3.4 assists. But he recently transferred to Seton Hall, where he has 2 years of eligibility left. Thon Maker was a 7-foot 8th grader who left South Sudan in search of a better life. What he found in America is that no one is even coming close to his skill at his size. Since Thon grew up playing soccer, his footwork and court vision were better than anyone else's by a landslide. Video companies like City League Hoops caught on to him quick and realized his future was bright. We made it a goal to get footage, and as quick as we could. We ended up filming him at the John Lucas camp in 2014 and followed him the rest of his high school career. During his freshman and sophomore years, playing for Carlisle's varsity team in Virginia, Maker averaged 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 4.5 blocks. He earned 2014 Gatorade Basketball Player of the Year in Virginia after leading Carlisle to a state championship. His junior year, he transferred to Orangeville Prep, a team in Canada where he dominated for 2 years. He played alongside Jamal Murray, and they were a crazy 1-2 punch. He eventually got drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks, but now he's playing in Lebanon where he is thriving. He had 35 and 15 to lead his team to the championship, and he was also named MVP. Thon Maker still has a bright future. Shamar Morrow was one of the most freakish athletes we have ever seen. As a 6th grader, he was dunking anything and everything. The older he got, the more impressive his game became. he quickly rises to the conversation for top 8th grader in the country. Shamar was in the 2020 class and went to Shadow Mountain for high school. By his senior year of high school, Morrow wasn't ranked by 24/7 Sports, but ESPN had him as a 3-star and the number 31 basketball recruit in California. With no Division I offers and the fact that he wasn't going to graduate high school or attain a GED, Morrow committed to East Los Angeles Community College instead. He was featured on the popular Netflix show Last Chance U. At East Los Angeles, he averaged 6.7 points, 2 rebounds, and 2.2 assists per game. Now he is committed to Allen University, and I would like to see what he does there. Marvin Bagley was a man amongst boys in middle school. Bagley was a 6'9" 8th grader, but he was offered by several schools as a 7th grader. He is a kid who stayed in the top 2 or 3 ranked kids in the 2018 class. He attended Corona del Sol High School in Tempe, Arizona, where he won the state championship and Max Prep's National Player of the Year. His sophomore year, he teamed up with DeAndre Ayton at Hillcrest Prep. He left Hillcrest in November of 2015, and in 2016, he enrolled at Sierra Canyon but had to sit due to transfer rules. In his one and only season at Sierra Canyon, he averaged 25 points and 10 rebounds. He then decided he would graduate a year early and reclassify into the 2017 class. He finished his high school career as the unanimous number 1 by ESPN, 24/7 Sports, and Scout. He took his talents to Duke, where he was named both ACC Rookie of the Year and ACC Player of the Year. He declared for the 2018 NBA Draft and was selected number 2 behind his former high school teammate DeAndre Ayton. His NBA start has been solid as he's averaging 13 points and 7 rebounds on his NBA career. He's currently with the Washington Wizards. I will be the first to tell you, I thought Mikey was one of the coldest middle schoolers I have ever seen. For the few of you that don't know, he got his start with Bronny James and the North Coast Blue Chips. At the time, everyone was there to watch LeBron's son, but they stayed for Mikey. A lot of people started calling him the best middle schooler in the world. The expectations on him were wild, but he continued to exceed expectations. Even sometimes I forget how big of a star Mikey Williams was. He had some crazy games in high school, including a 77-point game as a freshman at San Ysidro. By the end of his freshman year, he had almost 2 million followers on Instagram. He spent 2 years at Lake Norman in North Carolina, and fast forward to his senior year, Mikey signed a multi-year deal with Puma, making him the first American high school basketball player to get a sneaker deal. After high school, Mikey went to Memphis, where he redshirted. He got into some legal trouble, but is now at UCF with his high school teammate, JJ Taylor. Mind you, he's only 20 years old. If he can stay on the court, he's going to be a problem. The amount of attention Amani Bates got before turning 16 was actually crazy. Amani was born in Michigan and raised in Ypsilanti. He was on a lot of people's radars in just the 6th grade. He was ranked the number 1 player in 7th grade. By 9th grade, he was labeled the best prospect since LeBron James by 24/7 Sports after averaging 28.5 points and 10 rebounds per game. Entering his sophomore season, Bates became the youngest player to ever be featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated. As a sophomore, he averaged 32 points and 9 rebounds, becoming the first sophomore ever to win the National Gatorade Player of the Year. His junior season, he transferred to Ypsi Prep Academy, a prep school that his father started. He was one of 5 finalists for the Naismith Player of the Year and reclassed up to be in the 2021 class and bypassed his senior year of high school. He finished number 3 in ESPN rankings, right behind Chet Holmgren and Jaden Hardy. Originally, he committed to Michigan State, but then changed his mind to play with Jalen Duren at Memphis. At just 17, he entered his freshman season and was the youngest player in college basketball. He had a few struggles at Memphis and transferred to Eastern Michigan for his sophomore year. In 30 games, he averaged 19.2 points and 5.8 rebounds. He put his name in the 2023 NBA Draft. Bates was selected 49th overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Just last month, the Cavaliers signed him to another two-way contract. Remember, Emoni Bates is only 20 years old. He still has plenty of time to become a problem in the NBA. Cody Riley was the #1 ranked 8th grader in the country, and for good reason. At 6'8", he had very few weaknesses in his game. He could shoot from mid-range and get to the rim. He wasn't playing against scrubs either. You can see in these clips, he's playing against a young Michael Porter Jr. At the time, I had never seen a 6'8" 8th grader, let alone one that had skills of a guard. Cody Riley ended up going to Sierra Canyon, where he averaged 14.5 points and 7.7 rebounds. He was named Max Prep's Freshman of the Year. He continued to play well his sophomore and junior seasons, putting up solid numbers. As a senior, he averaged 16 points and 8 rebounds. He finished as the number 45 overall recruit in the 2017 class. Riley committed to UCLA. He really came into his own his junior year when he averaged 10 points and 5 rebounds, helping the Bruins reach the Final Four. His senior year, he was injured early and decided not to come back for his 6th college season. After going undrafted in the 2022 NBA Draft, he signed with Premier A Slovenian Basketball League. He's really killing it overseas. In his last game, he had 19 points, 19 rebounds, and 5 assists. DeAndre Ayton was a no-brainer for the #1 ranking in the 2018 class. Dude was 6'10" and absolutely unstoppable in the paint. People would always comment "hold back" on his video because of his size. Ayton could shoot the three, run the floor well, and he could post up. I'm sure many of you know how this story ends, but quickly, I'll go into his high school career at Balboa. When he was a sophomore, he averaged 21 points, 16 rebounds, and almost 7 blocks per game. His junior year, he transferred to Hillcrest Academy and teamed up with Marvin Bagley. His junior year, he averaged 29 points and 16 rebounds and continued to dominate his senior year. He finished high school with a #3 ESPN ranking and was the top center in his class. After a year at Arizona, where he was named Pac-12 Player of the Year, he put his name in the NBA Draft. He was the #1 pick to the Phoenix Suns. He's currently playing with the Portland Trail Blazers, and I'm interested to see how the 26-year-old's career pans out. AJ Debonsa has been ranked #1 since he stepped on a middle school court. He's one of the few guys that maintain that top spot from middle school all the way through high school. I knew he was a top guy when I first saw him playing up on the EYBL circuit as an 8th grader. Debonsa has consistently gotten better throughout high school. The 6'8" forward from Brockton, Massachusetts averaged 19 points and 9.6 rebounds as a freshman in high school. He then decided to transfer to Prolific Prep and team up with fellow 5-star recruit Tyran Stokes. Those two were the #1 and #2 players in the 2026 class. But high school was too easy for AJ. He ended up reclassing to the 2025 class where he maintained #1. At Prolific Prep, he looked like an absolute pro and averaged 21.2 points and 9.4 rebounds. Now, he's at Utah Prep where he will finish his high school career. Bro is already off to a hot start. Check out this clip. Chris Washington has showed serious potential since a young age. He was labeled by many as the next Kevin Durant. As a 6'7" 8th grader, he definitely looked the part. I first saw him at D-Rich TV camp back in 2021. I could see why the comparisons were there. He has a wiry frame and his gather looks very similar to Easy Money Sniper. He took his talents to the Villages in Florida, During his freshman year, he averaged 11 points and 5.3 rebounds. He continued to get better his sophomore year as he averaged 16 points and 7.6 rebounds. His story is still being written. He just transferred to Providence Christian Academy for his junior year. ESPN has him ranked 42nd in the 2026 class, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got back to the top of the rankings. There are some other guys who have been in the conversation for #1 player in the country. Names like Jerry Easter, Marcus Johnson, Jamal McKnight, and Tiger Campbell. In most recent memory, there was Baba Oladoton, who was the #1 ranked 8th grader 2 years ago. He has continued to thrive at the high school level, and the sky is the limit for him. Cameron Mercer was the #1 ranked 8th grader this past year, and the reigning #1 8th grader is King Baycott out of Virginia. These rankings can be hard because there's so much talent. Who was your favorite young star to watch hoop? Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.